course of the 700 episodes of Naruto, he hasn't done a whole lot of losing. In fact, even though Naruto is involved in dozens, if not hundreds of fights over the course of Naruto, so far as I can remember, Boruto not included, Naruto only loses 10 fights, and some of those are actually kind of questionable losses. But you know what they say, you learn more from your losses than you do your victories. So surely over the course of these 10 or so losses, Naruto learned a lot, right? Well, yeah. Kind of. Basically, every single one of these losses is a watershed moment in the journey of Naruto. See, whether it was getting blasted away by Kakashi's 1,000 years of death or having Madara yank Kurama out of him, each and every single one of these losses taught Naruto an important lesson. An important lesson that he would apply to the furthering of his growth that would allow for him to not be defeated through those exact same means again. And that's the kind of interesting about all of these losses. While some of them may seem somewhat similar to each other, Naruto never really loses in the exact same way more than once. Every single time he loses, it's because something that he's ignorant to is exposed over the course of this battle. And when eventually he does lose this battle, he learns what he was ignorant to and adds that to a slowly growing accumulation of knowledge that eventually makes him an almost indestructible, undefeatable force of nature. But what are these 10 losses that Naruto racked up over the course of his story, and what did they teach him? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, because today we're chatting every single time Naruto has lost and what it taught him. But before we get to focusing on Naruto's L's, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you're looking for one additional NC Hammer 23 video every single week, you guys can go ahead and find my Naruto reaction series using the fourth wall link in my description below. We just finished up with Kiba versus Naruto, which means we're on to Neji versus Tsunade. It's important to note here before we dive into today's video what a loss is, or at least how we define a loss. Because technically over the course of Naruto loses very few fights. Because a full-scale loss in the ninja world pretty much just means you die. And therefore a loss, as we're defining it, means that Naruto was either spared by an opponent, a deadly attack was stopped before it was able to land on him by somebody else who was interjecting into the battle, or that he was defeated in a non-life or death battle. Like the first loss that we're going to talk about, because coming up at number 10 on the list of every single time that Naruto has lost and what it taught him, we have Kakashi giving him the 1,000 years of death. Now, Team 7's bell test that pitted Kakashi versus Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto is pretty much the first bit of real, actual combat we ever see in the Naruto manga. And over the course of this fight, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto are supposed to work together, and heavy emphasis on the work together part, to steal the 2 bells that are attached to Kakashi's belt. However, because there's only 2 bells, but there's 3 of them, and it's established that only those who steal one of the bells from Kakashi will get to move on and become Genin, the trio of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura don't work together at all. They all focus on their individual efforts as they try to pursue Kakashi to get one of the bells for themselves, not taking any level of consideration for teamwork into account. However, because of the fact that they are barely Genin and Kakashi is one of the most talented Jonin in all of Konoha, every single one of them, as they launch their individual 1v1 attacks against Kakashi, flounder in attempts to try to grasp just one of his bells. Sakura is cast into a genjutsu that shows her Sasuke dying. Sasuke, even though he is the most impressive out of the 3 of them, is easily avoided by Kakashi, and Naruto is probably given the worst fate of all as Kakashi strikes him with 1,000 years of death, launching him off into the sunset. Now, while obviously in this fight Kakashi could have killed Naruto, Sasuke, or Sakura rather easily, he is their teacher, and he is trying to see if they're going to be worthy Genin. And Kakashi being able to completely shut down Naruto as he tried to pursue him on his own, not only established in Naruto the difference between his power level and the power level of a high-level Jonin, but also how the entire bell test played out, taught not only Naruto but also Sasuke and Sakura that the combined force of all 3 of them and relying on teamwork would allow for them to overcome even the strongest of opponents. Because when they're working together on account of the fact that a lot of their abilities are complementary, they become greater than the sum of their parts. Now, rather interestingly, this teaching is immediately proven to be effective on Naruto and Sasuke, because in the arc immediately following the bell test, the Land of Waves arc, we see Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto all working together as a cohesive unit to free Kakashi from the water prison that Zabuza has him in. Now, obviously, it appears as though though, that Sasuke and Naruto are doing the majority of the teamwork here, as after all, Sasuke throwing the Demon Wind Shuriken and Naruto being the Demon Wind Shuriken. That not only surprises Zabuza, but also allows for Naruto to throw a kunai at Zabuza that forces him to drop the Water Prison Jutsu, freeing Kakashi. But in this moment, both Naruto and Sasuke are trusting Sakura to protect the bridge builder. And therefore, while Naruto and Sasuke are doing the majority of the heavy lifting here, there is still a teamwork element that involves Sakura. And this idea of teamwork that appears to be just teamwork between Sasuke and Naruto, but actually also involves Sakura, extends even to the end of the Land of Waves arc, where when Sasuke is caught in Haku's Ice Mirror Jutsu, Naruto, even though it's probably not a good idea, throws himself into the middle of it to work with Sasuke to try and find a way out. Now, would the better idea probably have been to try and find a way for Sasuke to escape from the inside from the outside? Yeah, maybe. But in this moment, Naruto understood that Sasuke may need saving, and thus he committed himself to working alongside with Sasuke, even if it was gonna suck, in order to defeat Haku. And while the two of them did technically come out victorious against Haku, in part one of Naruto, even when Naruto and Sasuke were working together, they didn't always come out with the W. Like in our number 9 spot. Because coming up at number 9 on the list of every fight that Naruto has ever lost and what it taught him, we have Rock Lee. Now, technically, this isn't a fight that Naruto is supposed to be involved in at all. Rock Lee, who in part 1 of Naruto, and I guess probably part 2 of Naruto, was deeply, and I mean deeply, in love with Sakura, and therefore deeply, deeply sick of Sasuke, decided that before the Forest of Death, he wanted to see exactly what Sasuke was made of. And thus he challenged the person that everyone believed to be the strongest amongst the Konoha rookies to a battle. But before he got to fight Sasuke, Naruto interjected and ran up to Rock Lee looking for a fight. However, before he was able to do anything of importance, Rock Lee simply redirected his attack and spun him like a top into the wall, knocking him unconscious. And by far and away, throughout the entirety of Naruto, this is probably Naruto's most disappointing and most embarrassing loss. I mean, it wasn't even close. The gap between Naruto and Rock Lee's power was insurmountable, and there's a reason for that. See, what Naruto does in this moment, by disregarding the potential power of Rock Lee, is kind of what everybody had done to him his entire life, and would continue to do to him up until he defeats Pain during the Pain invasion. See, everyone always looked at Naruto not only as the annoying orphan, but also as the kid who was unable to graduate from the Shinobi Academy. And therefore, pretty much any single time Naruto accomplishes anything, everybody who's watching says, wow, I really didn't believe that Naruto would be able to do that. This is best illustrated when Naruto shows everyone his new level of power in his battle against Kiba in the preliminary rounds. And therefore, the reason that Naruto is laid out with basically no effort whatsoever from Rock Lee is to teach him the lesson to not treat other people the way that he's been treated his whole life. Yes, Rock Lee looks funny. Yes, Rock Lee can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu, but that doesn't mean that Rock Lee's strength needs to be disregarded in the same way that his is. And this is kind of the last time in manga canon that Naruto ever does this to somebody. See, because in this moment, he learns to not only respect the power of Rock Lee, and therefore by extension my guy, but he also learns the importance of hard work. Like, yes, you could say, oh, Naruto was a hard worker before this fight, but he wasn't a hard worker on the level of Rock Lee. And therefore, Rock Lee, with relative ease, was able to demonstrate to Naruto the difference in their power because of the massive difference in how hard they have worked. And therefore, after this moment, the tenor with which Naruto takes on his training changes exponentially. But more than that, he learns to respect all of the people in his life, especially Rock Lee. As Naruto goes on to assume that Lee would be able to win in a battle against Gaara, he goes on to train with Rock Lee and Might Guy for a little bit, and he even goes so far as to try to enact revenge for Rock Lee in his battle against Gaara. And in a much more granular sense, this fight actually teaches Sasuke the Lion's Barrage, and therefore when Naruto copies the Lion's Barrage and makes the Uzumaki Barrage, you could actually credit the creation of the Uzumaki Barrage to this fight. But sometimes the people that claimed victory over Naruto weren't just nice enough to spin him into a wall. Sometimes they hit him so hard that he was out for days. Which is exactly what happens at our number 8 spot, because coming up at 8 on the list of every single time that Naruto has lost and what it taught him, we have Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. Now, this is technically another fight that Naruto wasn't supposed to be in. In the Forest of Death arc, we learned that Orochimaru actually killed a ninja from the Hidden Grass Village and took their appearance. Also, that they keep an eye on Sasuke over the course of the Forest of Death and implant a curse mark on him. But because Sasuke, upon seeing the ridiculous strength of Orochimaru, is stricken with fear so deep and so real that it paralyzes him, Naruto once again has to inject himself into a fight meant for Sasuke. And while Naruto does appear to stand somewhat of a chance against Orochimaru, as he taps into the power of kurama and is able to stop one of Orochimaru's giant snakes directly in its tracks, when Orochimaru begins to take the fight even a little bit seriously, they're able to capture Naruto with their snakes and knock him out using a sealing jutsu. A sealing jutsu that's specifically aimed at Naruto's 8 trigram seal. Now, this is kind of the first time that Naruto's ever come face to face with true blue evil. Zabuza and Haku were working for pay, and while they were mercenaries who had killed hundreds, if not thousands of people, Orochimaru was evil for the love of the game, and also exists at a level of power that neither Haku or Zabuza could ever dream of. And therefore, even though Naruto tapped into his secret kurama powers, he was, for the first time, faced with a threat that even he, at the peak of his powers, stood no chance against. And what's worse is that this moment taught him that Sasuke is not only human, but also vulnerable. Just like how Sasuke protected him in the Land of Waves, needs protecting from Naruto in key, scary, pivotal moments. And thus, this battle against Orochimaru shows Naruto that he and Sasuke are equals in their relationship. That Sasuke can get scared, like how he got scared in the beginning of the Land of Waves. And how the two of them are two sides of one coin. Two misunderstood talents that the world is trying to take advantage of. And that only by leaning on each other would they be able to push away all of the external factors trying to take advantage of their powers. Well, there are plenty of moments over the course of part 1 that you could point at and say this is the moment when Naruto and Sasuke truly became friends. I do genuinely believe this battle against Orochimaru is when Naruto and Sasuke not only begin to become friends, but also begin to see each other as humans. Scared little kids struggling against the entirety of the power of the shinobi world. And unfortunately, the lesson that Naruto takes away from this fight is that there's evil out there, and that we in Konoha need to work together to battle against it. But unfortunately, the lesson that Sasuke takes from this is that there is evil out there, and that evil is powerful. And that power may be enough to help me accomplish my goals. But speaking of losing to the legendary Sannin, Naruto's next loss also came by way of legendary Sannin. Because coming up at number 7 on the list of every single time that Naruto has lost and what it taught him, we have Tsunade, defeating him with one finger. This fight comes about on account of the fact that Hiruzen dies during the Konoha Crush arc. And while everybody wanted Jiraiya to be the Hokage, Jiraiya turns down the position for like the 4th or 5th time, and rather recommends Tsunade for the role. And therefore, in order to continue the training that Jiraiya was putting Naruto through, he decides to bring Naruto along on the journey to try and find Tsunade. And this ends up being one of the most transformational arcs in the history of Naruto, at least for Naruto. See, because when proposed with the idea of becoming the 5th Hokage, Tsunade turns down the title. She even scoffs at the idea of becoming Hokage, which offends Naruto, not only because he had a profound respect for Hiruzen, but also because he wants to become Hokage one day. And thus, in that moment, right then and there, Naruto challenges Tsunade to a fight. However, even though Naruto is trying as hard as he can to prove to Tsunade how important the will of fire and respect for the Hokage is, Tsunade is able to thwart him away with one finger. And when Naruto tries to use an incomplete Rasengan to take her out, Tsunade thrusts her finger into the ground and creates a divide that Naruto falls into. But Naruto, not to be discouraged by this loss, makes a promise to Tsunade that he'll be able to master the Rasengan in a week's time. Lo and behold, a week later, Naruto is able to show Tsunade, when he's protecting her in a battle against Kabuto, that he had mastered the Rasengan. See, this loss of Tsunade teaches Naruto that the will of fire can flicker, even in the strongest the Konoha has ever produced. It also teaches Naruto that hard work can accomplish anything, like mastering an A-ranked jutsu like the Rasengan in a week's time. It also shows him that your motivation to work hard does not technically matter. It's just the fact that you're doing the hard work that matters. Naruto learns the Rasengan out of spite to prove to some old woman he barely knows that he would be able to accomplish it. And yet the end result was the mastering of the jutsu that would become the staple of his kit. So long as you're pushing yourself to be better, why you're doing it doesn't necessarily matter. But unfortunately for Naruto, this wouldn't be the only loss he would take over the course of this arc. Because coming up at number 6 on our list of every fight that Naruto has lost and what it has taught him, we have his battle against Kabuto. See, many believe that this battle between Naruto and Kabuto is a tie, but I tend to disagree. See, during the search for Tsunade arc, unfortunately, Jiraiya is not the only person looking for, as Orochimaru is trying to leverage her medical ninjutsu knowledge and her desire to see Dan, her lover again, to force Tsunade into repairing the arms that Hiruzen had destroyed. And therefore, unfortunately, eventually Tsunade is tracked down by Kabuto, who dispatches of Shizune with relative ease, and then begins his battle against Tsunade. And while Tsunade appears as though she could be victorious in this battle against Kabuto, unfortunately her hemophobia, or her fear of blood, is used against her, and upon seeing blood drawn into this battle, she's rendered useless. But right as Kabuto is about to strike the finishing blow against Tsunade, Naruto steps in and blocks his punch with his headband, starting a fight between himself and Kabuto that eventually he's kind of able to finish by hitting Kabuto square in the chest with a finished Rasengan. However, after Naruto blows blows Kabuto away with this Rasengan, it's revealed that Kabuto is actually able to sever the heart muscles in Naruto's chest, possibly killing Naruto if one of the world's greatest medical ninjutsu users wasn't right there to begin an operation on him. And considering the fact that this should have killed Naruto and that Kabuto did walk away from this Rasengan to the chest, I would say that Kabuto wins this fight. But what does this loss against Kabuto teach Naruto? Well, it teaches him one of the most important lessons he ever learns, that even the strong need to be protected. See, Tsunade at this moment in time is massively stronger than Naruto, and yet Naruto has to be the one to save her. And this moment displays to Naruto that even those who are stronger than him can have weaknesses. Those weaknesses can be exposed, they can be used to make the strong do things otherwise they wouldn't have done. And thus in this moment, Naruto not only showed forgiveness to Tsunade, who had treated him like dirt and disrespected the title of Hokage, but also Naruto began to understood that good people could be forced to do bad things. As after all, Tsunade had knocked out Jiraiya in an attempt to go work with Orochimaru. This moment right here is the beginning of Naruto's journey to understanding that even if the strong are evil, sometimes they're only evil because their weaknesses were used against them, like with our next loss on the list. Because coming up at number 5 on the list of every person that Naruto has ever lost to and what that loss taught him, we have Kimimaro. Now, I'm going to be real with you here. All of the lessons that Naruto could have learned from this loss are kind of immediately invalidated by how this fight ends. See, Naruto doesn't really battle against Kimimaro all that long. Basically, Naruto tries to use multi-shadow clone jutsu to take out Kimimaro. Kimimaro very easily dispatches of all of the clones. And right when it's looking like things are about to get real ugly for Naruto, Rock Lee swoops in. And it's that moment that Rock Lee basically tells Naruto, I got this guy, you go get Sasuke. Now, I would say that this moment is a display of Naruto learning the lesson that he's able to trust his friends and teammates. However, the entirety of the Sasuke retrieval arc revolves around Naruto leaving one person behind to fight an individual member of the Sound Village 5. So this moment isn't really any different from Choji fighting against Jirobo, Neji versus Kidomaru, Shikamaru versus Tayuya, and so on and so forth. And I would say that this loss allowed for Naruto to learn the lesson that sometimes natural talent may seem inaccessible to those who don't have it. That is to say that those who are born with natural talent, like Kimimaro on account of the fact that he was born with a Kekigenkai Shikatsumiyaku that allowed for him to control his bones, may seem like they are inaccessibly powerful to those who aren't born with something like a Shikatsumiyaku, unless they work so hard that they're able to climb to the peak that somebody like Kimimaro was born on top of, because Rock Lee was displayed as an even match for Kimimaro using his drunken fist. Unfortunately, Naruto doesn't really see any of that. Naruto runs away from this battle to keep up with Sasuke pretty much the second that Rock Lee shows up. And even if Naruto had stuck around to watch this battle play out between Rock Lee and Kimimaro, the lesson he would have learned is not that hard work is able to catch up with natural talent, because the second that Rock Lee sobers up, Kimimaro is about to kill him before Rock Lee is saved by Gaara, another natural talent. However, if Naruto was still around watching this fight, a lesson could be learned about the amount of hard work that Gaara had to undergo to acknowledge his own wrongdoings and come to the aid of Konoha, and specifically Naruto, in his task to save Sasuke. And like, that is an important lesson for Naruto to learn, that like hard work doesn't always necessarily have to lead to physical strength, but rather mental fortitude. But like I said, he's not around to see any of this. He's fighting against Sasuke in the final battle. So what did Naruto learn from his battle against Kimimaro? I don't know. Bones hurt? Let's go with bones hurt. But that doesn't mean that Naruto didn't learn anything during the Sasuke retrieval arc, because just like with the search for Tsunade arc, he loses twice in this arc. Because after running from the battle with Kimimaro, Naruto meets up with Sasuke in the Valley of the End. And the two of them engage in what is pretty universally agreed upon to be the best fight in part 1 of Naruto and Sasuke's first Valley of the End fight. But what does Naruto learn over the course of this battle that turns out to be a loss for him? Is it that version 2 of the curse mark is kind of broken, or that you can fly with just one wing? Is that for some reason the black version of the Chidori is stronger? Or is it that Sasuke may be beyond helping? Well, no, actually it's none of these things. Because what Naruto gleans from his first Valley of the End fight against Sasuke is that he can't defeat him while holding back. See, because well, yes, Naruto does hit Sasuke with some diabolical combos in their first battle. The battle ends with Sasuke victorious after they have a Rasengan Chidori clash. However, it's very much established that over the course of this fight, Naruto is holding back. While Sasuke may want to kill Naruto, Naruto definitely doesn't want to kill Sasuke. And thus Naruto isn't able to use the extended power necessary to defeat Sasuke. And thus when the two of them clash, Naruto takes power away from his Rasengan, allowing for Sasuke Sasuke's Chidori, which is objectively a weaker jutsu, to come out victorious, knocking Naruto unconscious. Not to mention that over the course of this fight, if Naruto was taking the fight as seriously as possible, he would have summoned something like Gamma Bunta, who could have assisted him in defeating Sasuke and bringing him back to the village. Now, Naruto does take this lesson to heart, because in their second and final Valley of the End fight, Naruto commits himself to using the entirety of his power against Sasuke to ensure that not only he wins, but also he's able to bring Sasuke home. And thus, when they have their next Chidori Rasengan clash, they blow off both of their arms. And while this result seems like a tie, because it lays Sasuke flat on his back, he admits that in this moment, Naruto has defeated him. And thus Naruto uses the information he gets from that first Valley of the End fight to win his second and final one. However, Naruto's not quite done losing to Sasuke yet, because at our number 3 spot of every fight that Naruto has ever lost and what it taught him, we have Sasuke beating him at Orochimaru's hideout. See, unfortunately, during the time skip, even though Naruto was with Jiraiya, he didn't learn all that much. He learned how to make his Rasengan a little bit bigger and how to dispel Genjutsu, but that's about it. However, the same cannot be said for Sasuke, who spent the time skip with Orochimaru. And over the course of this time skip, the gap in power between Sasuke and Naruto got quite wide. So wide, in fact, that Sasuke was able to go toe-to-toe with the likes of Sai, Naruto, and Sakura all simultaneously, and was about to wipe all of them off the map using Kirin until Orochimaru stopped him. Naruto even tried to tap into the power of Kurama during this fight, but Sasuke was able to dive inside of him and dispel the chakra. And thus, this failed effort against Sasuke taught Naruto that if he ever wanted a chance to be able to defeat Sasuke and bring him home, he would have to gain mastery over some new kind of power, be that either Sage Mode or Kurama. Because heading into this battle, Sasuke had a better control over Kurama's chakra inside of Naruto than Naruto did, something that could not stand if Naruto ever truly wanted a chance. But speaking of not being able to control Kurama, at our number 2 spot on the list of every single person that Naruto has ever lost to and what that loss taught him, we have his battle against the Devapath. See, during the Pain Invasion, after the Devapath has destroyed all of Konoha and killed pretty much every single fighter that ever claimed allegiance to the Leaf, Naruto, after being called by Sakura, appears with 3 gigantic toads, and he proceeds to battle against all 6 Paths of Pain, defeating 5 of them until he comes face to face with the strongest out of all of the Paths of Pain, the Devapath. However, in their first squabble, Naruto isn't able to figure out exactly how the Devapath's abilities work, and therefore he's pretty soundly defeated, being pinned to the ground with chakra rods that disrupt his chakra flow by Nagato. And it's not until Hinata flies in with her twin lion fists and tries to defeat the Devapath and is eventually killed by him that Naruto's able to break out of the control of these chakra rods and assume Kurama's form. However, Naruto has no control over Kurama's flow of chakra inside of him, and slowly but surely he begins to get lost in the mass of malicious chakra, until eventually Kurama is almost fully manifested with 8 tails trying to crack out of the Chibaku Tensei used by the Devapath. And in this moment, Naruto should have died, as Kurama's chakra should have taken him over completely. But fortunately for Naruto, on account of the fact of how the 8 trigram seal works, Minato left a small part of Kushina inside of the 8 trigram seal that was able to put Naruto back together. And thus Naruto was able to reel the power of Kurama back in, teaching him an incredibly important lesson that he immediately applied to his relationship with Nagato. Because in this moment where Naruto is given a second chance at life by his mother, he's taught the lesson that regardless of how far gone someone may seem, they still deserve mercy. They deserve a second chance so long as they're willing to take it. Thus, after Naruto is given a second chance at life and Kurama is reeled back inside of him, he continues the battle against the Devapath and eventually finds victory and finds Nagato, at which point he offers mercy to Nagato in a second chance that Nagato takes in the form of Rinne Rebirth. But if it weren't for Kushina bringing Naruto back from the brink, that lesson never would have been learned. But after Nagato, Naruto only ever lost one more fight, and that was against Madara. Because coming up at our number 1 spot on the list of every single person that Naruto has ever lost to and what that loss taught him, we have Madara ripping Kurama out of him. See, during the 4th Great Shinobi World War, when Madara is brought back to life and uses the power of the Rinnegan to control the outer path, or the Geto statue, he's able to throw chains around every single one of the tailed beast's necks and throw a chain around the half of Kurama that's inside of Naruto. He then yanks all of those tailed beasts into the Geto statue and is able to recreate the 10 tails. But because Naruto has had the half of Kurama that's been with him his entire life ripped out of him, this actually kills Naruto, and it's only because Sakura manually pumps his heart until they're able to get the other half of Kurama, the half that's with his father Minato, inside of him, that Naruto is able to return to the fight. But what does dying at the hands of Madara teach Naruto? Not a lot, actually. Like that those who don't have access to Otsutsuki power are always gonna fail to those who do, kind of. Sprinkle a little bit of Sakura being the GOAT, and that tailed beasts deserve freedom if they want it. But like, yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of lessons being taught in the 4th grade Shinobi World War. Naruto gets killed, and then he wakes up with like a brand new set of powers. It's not a crazy lesson. In fact, it's kind of the opposite of a lesson. But yeah, that's the chronological order of every single person that Naruto has lost to and what that loss taught him. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. Did I miss any losses? And do you agree with the lessons that Naruto was taught from the losses that I did talk about? Let me know in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get to an anime IRL shoot that's an hour away, and, well, I need to be there in 54 minutes.